Welcome to Conversations. My name is Jason Plotkin, and I am the program director at Congregation Emmanuel here in Houston, Texas. During our conversation series, we sit down with a member of the congregation, the community, or perhaps even from the sports world to discuss the current state of affairs. The feedback I've gotten from our congregants is they particularly enjoy when we have members of our congregational family or organizations that work hand in hand with our synagogue on, so we can do a bit of a deeper dive. Many of our viewers in our congregational community have probably seen our promotions for kids' meals in the past, and even more have probably volunteered, whether it's through our monthly gatherings, pre-COVID, Mitzvah Day, and or other special events. So today we're excited to be able to learn more about Kids Meals with Beth Harp, who is the Executive Director of Kids Meals. Beth, welcome to our broadcast. How are you today?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great. Thank you.
Well, we're happy to have you. And I guess before we talk about kids' meals, I would really love to share a bit about your background with our audience who may not be familiar with you as a person. Can you tell us a bit about what you did prior to kids' meals?
Well, thank you so much. I have been in the nonprofit world for many, many years. Outside of school, when I finished college, I went into advertising and public relations, and then I went quickly to Child Advocates. Many people in Houston may have heard of Child Advocates, but they provide advocacy service for children that are abused and neglected in our county. And did that for many years, and then worked on the Houston Children's Festival for them for 24 years. And that was the nation's largest children's festival. And then I've been here at Kids Meals for 12 years. Been so just blessed to serve.
Wow, I didn't know about your PR background. I have a PR and communications background. We'll have to touch base about that
We
sometime.
will, yeah.
So now that we know a bit about you, I really want to talk about kids' meals and the overall view of kids' meals. I think there's people who are watching this who are very familiar with kids' meals. And then, like I told you beforehand, there's people that probably have no idea what kids' meals is. So if you don't mind, can you take us on a 30,000 foot in the sky description of kids' meals as an organization?
Yes. So Kids Meals is the nation's only home delivery service for preschool age children that are living in severe poverty in food insecure homes. And what food insecure means is that they don't know where their next meal is coming from. Kids Meals was founded to focus on those children that are age 5 and younger because the critical brain development that happens all before the age of 5. It's 90% of our human brain will be developed by that time. And if we don't have the proper nutrition, we can't reach our developmental milestones. We can't learn. We all know what it feels like to be hungry. I mean, you can't focus, you're hurting, and it puts you at a risk for a host of diseases that are really severe. So, but during the pandemic, we have been feeding all the children of the home. There are so many kids that have been virtual learning. So back in March, we saw people coming to our doorsteps that have never had to ask for help before. We saw fathers crying because they didn't know how they're going to feed their children in the restaurant industry, or else maybe working for a car wash that have been furloughed or laid off. Our numbers went from 3,500 children each weekday all the way up to 7,400 children each weekday that we were feeding. And that was home delivery. And then also we opened up our back docks for those that were not on our routes that could come in and pick up food for the week. So we're really closing the gap for those families that don't have enough resources to make sure that their children are fed.
So, my family, we live by NRG Park, and every few weekends, there's these massive City of Houston food distribution. So I don't think the impact of food insecurity can truly be understated. You kind of alluded to why it's so important that Kids Meals does the work that they do. But really, to you, on a personal level, what does food insecurity mean, and what is the true impact on the families you touch? You brought up, we can't understand what hunger is, but I really think if we can just take a deeper dive and paint a picture of what this looks like for those that you're touching, I really think it would be impactful.
You know, we get messages from clients all the time, my refrigerator is empty. There's nothing um, in my cupboard to help feed the kids. And, I just think most of us can't even concept what that feeling is to not be able to feed your child. Most of the time when we see a parent that's hungry, that means that, for at least, 3 days, they've only been trying to get all the resources together to feed their kids. Even when we provide that one nutritional meal each weekday, we know that we're not walking away and going, oh, they're not food insecure anymore. We are really, really trying to make sure that we're providing grocery bags and staples each week, because families are just struggling. And most of the families that we see are working families. They're working hard to try to make ends meet. Or we see a lot of grandmothers that are caring for grandkids, and they just need a hand up, not a hand out. We always say the food is our handshake to help them get through the week and to start building that trust. And then Kids Meals refers them to other vital resources to help them pull themselves up. Right now, whether it's job training, computer lessons, ESL, referring them for how to get health care. If their kids need tutors, we'll refer for that. We try to refer our clients to services that they can help pull themselves up out of the situation that they're in. I really can't even imagine what it feels like as a parent, just that sheer panic of not being able to feed your child. And I see it on the faces of so many of the people that come here to our offices. And I'm just so thankful for partners like Emmanuel that partner with us to make sure that we don't have to turn away any of those families that desperately need to feed their kids.
There's two things I think of with kids meals. One is the children and one is the food distribution. So let's start with the children. You brought up that, people walk in the door and you find out about clients that way sometimes. And obviously during COVID, people have been approaching kids meals probably more so than prior. But how do families and their children per se end up being clients of your nonprofit? What's the usual process, if you will, for someone to end up on your route?
We have an application process that they go through. It's an application. We have them in English and Spanish, and they fill out the application, and they are at or below poverty level, living in the greater Houston area, and they have at least one preschooler in the home, 5 and under. And then we have an operations coordinator that reviews all the applications. If they are in our current zip codes, then we are able to add them to the routes for home delivery. If they're not, we've opened up the services at our offices, at our facilities, where they come to the back warehouse docks and they can actually pick up food for the week. We don't have enough vans and we don't have enough drivers or resources right now to be everywhere we need to be for all the areas of Houston that are really suffering. So this has been our solution to make sure that we're able to help all those families in need. And also we are out in the neighborhoods every day. Clients see our vans. Many of them will call in and ask how to apply. We've got it all on the website now. Anybody that needs help goes to the website, and right up in the right-hand corner, it says need help. It takes them right to applications. They can email it in, fax it in, or bring it in. And we'll either get them on the routes or get them with our pantry delivery for the week.
And for those who are watching, I will make sure to include a link to Kids Meals website, so you can click there for more information. We'll kind of go into that a little later. But turning to COVID, Beth, when you've come to Emmanuel and when I've spoken with you prior, we always talk about how things shift in the summer. Schools are closed, and the meals that a lot of the older siblings rely on, particularly through the school districts, are not available because the food program is not the same as it is when the kids are in school. So COVID hit, and it was literally like a day or two prior to spring break, which I'm sure you're used to an uptick around spring break.
Yes.
And what was the immediate impact? You brought this up earlier, but really, what was the immediate impact in the amount of children that were in need of your service? I mean, I'm presuming those numbers escalated even more than usual. What was that like?
Yes, you're so right. Kids Meals philosophy has always been we don't pull up in a van and there's a 2-year-old standing there hungry and a 9 and a 10-year-old standing there hungry, and we don't feed those children as well. So when the pandemic hit and the schools were closed, Kids Meals literally grew about 135% over 2 weeks. It was staggering. And I'm just so thankful for our staff and volunteers that stepped up to make it happen. We went from 3,500 kids that we were serving each weekday. Within 2 weeks, we were up to 7,400 children approximately each weekday. These were new applicants, people that had never had to ask for help before, that had been laid off or furloughed. These were also the school-age children of our preschool clients, that we made a decision. We're going to feed all the kids in the home. I know that other school districts had opportunities for kids and families to come pick up meals from the schools, but the challenge was is they were having such a low usage rate because of the transportation issues. Even if they're in a particular school district, a lot of the kids would get to school via the bus and parents didn't have transportation to get there. And then there also were lots of rules around what times you could come, and then you have to stay and eat it there. You couldn't take it to go. And so they did not have a high usage rate. And so we really were a lifeline for so many of the families because we were able to bring it right to their doorsteps.
Wow. Switching to the food aspect, obviously food is the center of your organization. It's what keeps the fight against childhood hunger at the forefront. And what I've always found fascinating is the various relationships Kids Meals has in procuring food. So when the food comes, for those who aren't familiar, you usually see some familiar logos or images on the food that's coming in. I was referencing Shipley's to someone the other day, but tell us a bit about how Kids Meals is able to receive these in-kind donations for the food product and the partnerships that you guys are able to maintain.
Yes, we couldn't make it without the in-kind food donations. We partner with the Houston Food Bank, who has been absolutely incredible. We are able to get a lot of food from the food bank and we pay amazing prices. It's basically a processing and delivery fee, which is so wonderful. Since the pandemic, the food bank has not had access to the food in general that we need. So we've had to search out other sources. You mentioned Shipley. Lawrence Shipley is one of the most generous men I've ever met. He provides us with cheese for all of our sandwiches, probably $40,000 to $50,000 worth of cheese each year, which is incredible. We've been able to form a partnership with Pepperidge Farms, part of their zero food waste program, where we pick up from them once or twice a week bread that would just be tossed out. And it still has, anywhere from 3 days to a week before expiration, but we're able to turn it around the next day, which is such a blessing. And then we partner with Grocer Supply, also as part of their zero food waste. And we pick up fresh fruits and vegetables for our families, as well as Sprouts. They've been wonderful. And I have to say, I'm so thankful for the grocery stores, especially during the pandemic, that really stepped up and gave us cash donation or gift card donations to be able to buy food. But we didn't budget to have to buy all this food this year. We have had to buy more food than we ever have before. And just seeking out different sources to buy those foods has really been a learning experience, trying to find the foods that we need. But I think we've got it down to a good process now. But the thing that is a little bit frightening for all, organizations looking into 2021 is, what does it look like? Are our numbers going to continue to be as large? Is there going to continue to be as much need? It looks like right now for a while there really is. And so we're not sure, so we appreciate any in-kind donation. And then the other thing we did was we just wanted to give the opportunity for people to volunteer from home, and we created a DIY lunch pack program, which so many Houstonians showed up. They made lunch packs from home with shelf stable. So you'd have a shelf-stable protein like Vienna sausages, or you would have the tuna kits or the chicken salad kits, or even a little bit of peanut butter and pretzels, and then a fruit like go-go squeeze or applesauce, and then a healthy snack like a granola bar and a juice, water, or shelf-stable milk. People have been packing them up and decorating the bags and delivering them by the thousands. And it really has saved us, because the food costs, like I said, we're not budgeted to do these kind of numbers. So we've been so thankful. And I just reference all the time, I reference back to when Hurricane Harvey hit. I mean, I just love our city. I just cannot believe how our city shows up and really cares about those in our city that are less fortunate, that are suffering. And I just never can thank Houstonians enough for showing up to help hungry kids.
So Congregation Emmanuel is likely not the only traditional partner of yours that has had to suspend its usual operations. Every organization obviously has its own policies for reopening, and certainly Kids Meals is one of those things here at Emmanuel that we miss doing month to month. For those unfamiliar, Emmanuel has made well over 100,000 sack lunches over a decade plus of involvement, led first by Barry and Carol Goodfriend were the first lay leaders, and they did it for over a decade. And now Donnie Bunman and Ron Nodler are leading the charge. But Beth, you mentioned that people can do it on their own. And I really want to dive into how our partners and individuals finding ways to still contribute. I mean, I've seen some organizations who probably had many more volunteers doing very socially distanced with very fewer volunteers contributing. What are some of the other things that your partners are doing to step up at this time that might not be the traditional way they were doing as partner organizations?
Something as simple as getting a pack of brown bags and decorating them for our kids has been wonderful. It just brightens a child's day. It just says to them, we see you, we know you're here, and somebody cares about you. That's wonderful. We've been getting those in the mail. Also, if anybody's interested in doing a food drive, you could do it, personally with a group of friends, your neighborhood organization, anywhere. We always need those shelf-stable items that I mentioned before. We need shelf-stable protein, the shelf-stable fruits like applesauce or squeezable fruits. We also need granola bars and other healthy snacks, and the little waters or juice boxes, as well as shelf-stable milk. Anybody can do it from anywhere, like on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, if you do social media, or you can just let your neighbors know. And then also, if you can believe it, we are just going through 5,000 to 6,000 Ziploc bags a day, the little sandwich size. So if anybody wants to do a food drive for that, they can we call it the Zip Up Hunger drive, and just let people know and help us collect Ziploc bags. I mean, that's huge because when you're going through that much, it can get really expensive.
That's really neat. And it kind of alludes to my next question. I think one of the neat things about Kids Meals is it's accessible on so many levels. For those here at Emmanuel, and I'm sure out in the community, we've seen generations of families, multiple generations, come together to be involved in helping in various forms or fashion. And I know you have had experiences, some of which you've kind of alluded to during this time together. But is there a story over the last few months that really resonates with you of what you've seen from your volunteers? I mean, there's got to be something that's like, that was a pretty cool moment that's really going to sit with me for a while.
One thing that's been amazing to see about volunteers, like I told you, we ramped up and we had to pivot our whole operations to be able to serve that many kids. We saw a core group of about 8 people from all different walks of life that had been furloughed or laid off that came to Kids Meals and took us on like a full-time job. They were here every morning at 8 or 8:30, stayed till the afternoon, and worked like dogs, helping us prepare meals, get them out the door. It was just phenomenal to watch. It was so inspiring. And they were inspired by the families that they were able to help. We, at our back docks, I saw a father walking up the ramp with tears in his eyes. He worked at a restaurant. His wife was also in the hospitality industry. She worked cleaning for a hotel. They had both lost their job, never had to ask for help before. And the look of relief on their faces when we were able to say, we got you. We know you're suffering. We got you. Don't worry. Fill out this application. We got you. Come pick up meals every week. And those kind of things just, fill your soul and your spirit that you feel so blessed that you're able to help those others that are suffering. We have a grandmother that her name is Trudy, and she's one of my favorite people in the world. She has taken in 12 children, and she's caring for them. And she was a teacher, retired teacher. She's adopted several of the kids. Some are in foster care. Some are neighbors that people dropped off. And during this pandemic, we were able to make such a difference for her. I don't know if she could have kept them all. They probably would have had to go somewhere else or be taken away. But we were able to make sure that she had a stable home, that we relieved the stress for her, that she didn't know how she's going to feed all 12 of these kids and herself. And really just take away that stress and make sure that she can continue to care for these kids. I only have 2 kids, and she's got 12. And those kids come in here all the time. They're like our adopted babies. We love them so much. And they're much better behaved than my 2 kids were. I mean, she is got it down to a science. And I'm so thankful that we have the opportunity to partner with people like Trudy to make a difference for these kids. I just can't tell you how much it just fills my soul to be able to do that. And we can't do without partners like Emmanuel. And I appreciate so much. It's such a milestone, 100,000 meals that you guys have done for us. Can you imagine, what a difference that's made? I mentioned a minute ago, the food is the initial handshake with the family. And if you are a person and you are living and you don't know how you're going to pay your bills, and, your home may be taken away and you're looking for a job, that at least my child's going to eat today. At least I know that. It's one less stress, and then you can focus on the other things. And that is such a gift. And I thank you for giving us that opportunity to help people.
Well, I really appreciate that. We are promoting this to the volunteer group that helps out with kids' meals. And I'm hoping that they will pass this on and share this interview on when it airs this Wednesday. 2 more questions before we go. I always feel it's important to ask our guests what they think will stick, per se, once we emerge from COVID and the new normal. Is there something you've seen or done during COVID as an organization that you foresee being, now this is part of what we're doing going forward? This is part of what we do. Is there anything like that you can share that might be interesting?
Well, what we did here is, because we need people here, is we're following all CDC guidelines. When you come in, your temperature is taken immediately. We've got lots of hand sanitizers. We've got our mask on, and we're keeping everybody spread out. And we anticipate that that's going to be like that for quite some time. And we want to make sure people feel very comfortable, that they are in a safe environment, and, just a safe, joyful place to volunteer. And so we plan to keep those procedures in place as long as necessary. And we figured it out now. We got it rolling. So we will keep it like that to make sure everybody is safe and comfortable in our environment, because we literally can't exist without volunteers. And we want to be respectful in making sure that they feel very good about when they're here and they don't feel unsafe in any way.
Well, that's certainly important. And then the last thing is, we talked earlier that you're a PR person by trade, as am I.
Mhm.
I always feel it's important when we have an organization or an entity at the end of the broadcast to share some information for people who may want to learn more. Obviously, we'll post any of the websites or anything on the Facebook, on the YouTube, et cetera. But if there's anything specific that you would, in a minute or two, want to share with those who are watching about kids' meals, this is your opportunity. So, Beth, take the floor.
Well, Kids Meals is the nation's only that is closing the gap for those kids that are suffering in our city. And we really want to be the first city in the nation to figure out a model to end childhood hunger. And just thank Emmanuel and just invite you to partner along with us, whether it's decorating bags from home, making the DIY lunch packs, or doing a food drive, or if you feel comfortable coming in here and volunteering. We really need the support of Houston. That we have a very small staff, low overhead, and we can't do it alone. But we see every day the impact that we have for these kids. It's just incredible. And thank you for partnering along with us. You can go to our website at kidsmealsinc.org, and there's so many different ways to volunteer or to contribute. If you feel so led and you would like to contribute, we can feed a child for less than $2 a day. And we can do that thanks to volunteer support. That's an all-in organization cost. That's the food, that's our gas, that's our vans, that's our staff, that's our facility, that's everything. So we are doing it so efficiently, and we've won the BBB Award, Charity Award of Excellence each year because we're able to do it so efficiently. So I just invite you to partner with us. And
Beth, what's your address in case people want to know where Kids Meals is located if they want to volunteer?
We are in the Garden Oaks area, which is north of the Heights, and we're at 330 Garden Oaks Boulevard.
That's perfect. Well, Beth, I really do appreciate you coming on today. I've really wanted to have you on, especially as an ongoing partner of our congregation and one that we look forward to assisting for many, many years to come. So thanks again for coming on today.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity and appreciate all you do.
All right. Well, thanks again to Beth. I'd like to thank David Tanner behind the scenes, who is always helping us with our broadcast. We're excited to share that our next guest will be on Wednesday, December 23rd. We'll have Palmer Memorial Episcopal Reverend Neil Willard. Obviously, we're going to look ahead to see what's going on with our Christian neighbors around the corner as they prepare for Christmas. And then we'll follow that up in a few weeks. We'll take a few-week hiatus. Wednesday, January 13th, Rice Village Senior General Manager, AJ Coffey. We'll learn what's going on in Rice Village and look at how they're engaging the community. I think they're doing some fascinating things. And of course, as a reminder, you can catch any episodes of Conversations you've missed on the Emmanuel YouTube channel. We've done over 30 of these, some great guests like Beth Harp, who we had today. And as always, thanks for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you the next go around. Take care.